Are we ready?
I am.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate. We're having a bit of some outside technical issues. I don't know if it's the internet or whatever, but get it together, Comcast, Xfinity, wherever you at. But but I am here today, and this is a new week. Um, I've had a really nice weekend, um, despite what's going on in the news and all that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. As I was kind of putting together today's topic for today's show, I've to a couple teacher friends of mine, and we're feeling because there are certain schools that are opened up. There are certain schools that are not open at all, and then there's some area in between where certain districts are giving their students and parents an option whether or not they want their child to continue with virtual learning or to be able to come in. So I think a big weight is still on the shoulders of everyone. I see it happening to a lot of my teacher friends, and I feel like we were already at a space where everything a child needs to be raised or to grow with is often put on the school system in terms of life lessons, in terms of learning how to balance the checkbook or social skills or social living skills or and as a teacher, we're already swamped with being able to teach your child a specific uh, instruction, whether it be history or art or whatever. Now, not only do we are we charged with doing that, which is very difficult because many of our children, many of our districts are below the reading level in other areas, but mainly reading, writing, and comprehension. Three major points, but a lot of our districts are still below the average or below average in those areas. And it's we can't blame just the teachers, we can't blame the student, we can't blame the it's so many different factors. But right now, I feel like parents are looking to the school to solve this pandemic one and to um, give them some relief. And I really feel sorry for the parents who have had a struggle with having to choose between um, having their school child do virtual learning and them being able to go to work because a lot of people can't. One, childhood isn't open to everybody everywhere yet, and childhood is expensive, especially when you have multiple children. Um, and then right now it's not really safe to have your child in a nursing kind of a nursery type of setting right now. It's not really safe for them. So in saying that, I've read this post from our guest today, Miss Cassandra, and it had to do with mentoring children that are from single parent homes. I don't want to make it specific to a single mom or a single dad because it has been put on the shoulders of a lot of single moms. I was raised by a single mom, so the understanding of how do you then supplement the absence of the other parent, and that what I started off talking about. This then becomes a factor in how to come to school with or come to the teacher with given circumstances. And now we have to get through those given circumstances before I can even teach you. Um, and Cassandra had made this post where it was asking that question, like, I guess it was a question of whether or not I guess, black men or men in general, mentor young men or children from single parent homes. That's how I took it. So how you doing, Miss Cassandra?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
So I kind of gave a little bit of my backstory and how I approached the post that you have, but can you tell us your perspective on that question or that post that you put up?
Okay, well, relatively, I grew up I'm from New York, grew up in the suburbs. Fortunately, have both my parents in the home, mom and dad,
Mm-hmm.
and so, but I have nieces and nephews uh, that
Okay.
um, that were raised by their mom, well, actually raised by both my parents. And because they came to
Okay.
live with my parents, and my parents helped raise them and everything. But they, they were without their fathers. On I think only one of them, my nephew, he had his father in his life, and his father would come and get him and everything. But for the most part, it was everybody's responsibility in the house to help raise them, and everybody took a
Right.
part. So it wasn't just, my mom and my dad, doing what they were doing, but me as the aunt. Now, when my niece and nephew came up, my first, the older niece and nephews, they were on my nephew was only about 5 years older than me, but I still had to
Okay.
help take care. I mean, 5 years younger than me. I still had to help take care of him, make sure that they did
Right.
their homework, all of that stuff. And I wasn't that much older than them. So,
Mm-hmm.
from my perspective, I've always seen where that old adage, where it takes a village to raise a child, I've
Mm-hmm.
always seen that. I grew up in the suburbs, went to church, traditionally Baptist, church, and wherever there was a need, there was always somebody there to see to that need, whether they were family or not. So, for me, it's quite natural to step in and be that auntie, even though we may not be blood. It's it's
Right.
traditional for me to step in and say, okay, I'm gonna help you with, the little girl, I'll mentor her, and all that other stuff. So when I saw the post, I was like, I see some women mentoring young girls, but oftentimes not really seeing too much. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I don't see it too much where there are black men that are mentoring young boys. When I was younger, it used to happen in the church, but I
Yeah.
don't see it too much anymore.
Well, I was a part of a group growing up called two groups actually. One was called Project Raise. It was a organization that started from a creator doing his thesis project on truancy and attendance. And uh, so it was an after school program, and they matched us up with mentors. And I had a great mentor, but it wasn't the best situation. When he wasn't able to be there consistently, he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And then at some point, he came
Mm,
back, and it just wasn't the same. But I think the idea of what we think of a mentor is uh, is one thing, but these children are getting mentorship from other people outside of that definition. And that's when it becomes not so
okay,
good because you have the streets mentoring your children, drug dealers, all gambits, other friends, other parents that aren't as structured as you may be. So you see mentorship happening. It's just
right,
not what is good for the child. So I think we have to go back to, and my
right,
statement on your thread was in most of these cases, well, I don't want to say the majority, but a lot of these cases, the mother didn't pick the right person to be with when it's the mother, and we gonna be real specific about that.
right,
But she didn't pick the right person to begin with, So her then bringing someone in that child's life then becomes a gamble because what is her perspective on who's good for her child? Is it somebody that's tough? That can fight, that looks masculine, that appears to be a man, and her not realizing her ideal of what a real man is not the best because the child's father isn't there, and it's not her fault. but you were a part of choosing that person. So my
Of
response
chosen, yeah,
was, hurt
yes,
that parent, and it may be a mother or a father, but that parent has to look at what they deem important or significant before they just start bringing in these village members. And that was
right,
my, you know, because they're pedophiles and they're rapists and
yes,
they're,
agree,
drug dealers
agree.
and such in that village as well. And I'm not saying those people are necessarily bad people, but their occupations don't equal up to somebody I would want to mentor me. So
I
therefore,
agree. I agree. I
mhm,
also think that because what you just stated is there's a lot to unpack in what you stated.
right,
Because I do believe that, and it's not, and I know you're black, I'm black, so most of the time when we're talking from the black
right,
experience.
exactly,
So, but I'm quite sure there's white people and Asian people that's in the same boat. But as a people, I think we've gotten away from what my parents would call time of courting. And that
right,
that time of courting would mean that you're actually getting to know that
mhm,
individual without any sex, without anything muddying the waters or anything like that, causing any
mhm,
confusion, making things quote unquote complicated. And we've gotten to the point where we are in love with the idea of a particular person.
uh-huh,
Not necessarily, because I know some of my friends would say, well, there was just some stuff that about him that I just can't stand, and all this other stuff,
right,
but you know, he's come from a good family, or he's got a good job, or
mhm,
he treats me well, or whatever. But they don't really know the person, and I call them
mhm,
boogers.
mm,
Anytime I call them boogers. Anybody, male or female, can withhold their booger for about 90 days.
right,
And
right,
if 90 days or any time after 90 days is where you start seeing the booger. And
mm,
call from your Bluetooth phone. And so, for lots of times, um, we don't take the time to get to know the people that we're dating, and the next thing you know, we have a kid coming, and then you
mhm,
find out, well, you know what, this isn't the kind of person that I thought I was getting with and everything. And so now,
mhm,
especially, to find, someone that, let me try to stop this. You're trying to find someone to kind of step in and be the father figure of that child.
right,
But you don't really know, but like you said, it's a gamble, because you don't really know if this individual is going to be the best choice to mentor your child. So it's kind of like within
right,
our
right,
community, there's a lot that we have to talk about. um and getting back to a lot of the stuff that you unpacked, a lot of that stuff is have a lot to do with our mental and emotional wellness. Because truth be told, we as a people need counseling. We need to sit down and talk to people about
mhm,
certain things and get certain things out. Certain generational curses, they advance throughout generations and generations and generations, because we won't talk about anything and we won't get it all
yeah,
out. And we're acting the same way Mama act, who was acting the same way Big Mama act, who was acting the same way as the person before them. And so it's
mhm,
just a lot that we have to go through to make sure that our children are good. Because right
mhm.
now, some of our children are not good. Some are, but some aren't.
But look at where the question was, and look at how far we had to go backwards from the question or the statement that was made about mentorship. All these things have to be in a space before you can get to even being able to look after the child, because
Right.
often the adult may see the harms or the wrongs or the flaws rather in that person, but the child is only seeing, they are only seeing the flaws, and that adults saw the flaws, but they also saw the possibilities. Children aren't normally equipped to see possibilities in a person. They
Yes,
normally
yes,
see you at face value. And I think
right,
the problem is that I feel, because I have many single parent female friends who often look at me as Uncle Nate,
right,
and for their children. And this, I don't see a problem in that, but it comes, the problem comes in that I should not be obligated to be overseer for your child. That should be something that my heart draws me to, because
right,
often, because we are close proximity, or we're friends or family, doesn't mean I'm the best person for your child. And I've had situations where this child was not feeling this situation because of some unfinished issues that they may have had with their dad or with their
right,
parenting, parents. So me stepping in, acting as a parent becomes a hardship or annoyance to that child. And then when you come into the school system, you get two different types of parents. A parent that don't want you to have any contact with their child outside of teaching them. And then they still want to regiment how you do that. And then you get the parent that sees that you have a certain influence over their child, and they become dependent on that influence. So much so that you're getting calls outside of the school day in
right.
order to help them with their child. And I've never had an issue with that. But again, that's not my child. So you need to figure out, one, what the issue is that you're having, that you are now dependent on this total stranger to help you raise your child. And you need to figure those things out, so now you aren't totally dependent on a system to help you raise your child. Because that's what I'm hearing a lot, especially right now during this pandemic. It's like the system abandoned me and my child. No, we are in a pandemic. We're
Right.
all struggling. So how am I supposed to go beyond what is not even required, but what is possible in order to help your child still be a well-rounded person? And I like your question really stuck out to me, because I'm in the process of right now, I'm working on a book project. So
Mm-hmm.
I am having to go back into a therapy format in order to go over some of the experiences that I've had, and connect to people about it. And it doesn't feel good, because I saw a lot of times where things could be done this way. And hindsight is always 2020, but
2020. Yes, yes.
we have to sometimes figure out what went wrong, so I, as an adult, can fix these things and move forward. And we have to realize children don't always have that built into them. They don't have it built into them. It's something that
Right.
they learn after after the results of, but they don't often have that in them to be able to decipher between what's good and what's wrong, because they wouldn't need parents if they could do that. And then,
I also think that we don't people are, and I say people because people is general. It's a general statement. People are having children when,
mm,
or they're having babies when they have a baby mentality themselves. And the thing about it is, a child, this is just from my perspective. And again, I'm coming from my own upbringing. So somebody
right,
else's upbringing, and I hope this doesn't offend somebody. But from my upbringing, I just do not feel that you should bring a child into this world when you're not mentally, you're not emotionally, and you're not financially, at least somewhat financially ready to support that child. What I
right,
see nowadays is that these kids are being left. They're being left, and I won't even say left. I say that they're being born already having adult issues on their shoulders. You
mm-hmm,
know what I'm saying? That your child should not be worrying about what they're gonna eat. Your child should not be worrying about where they're gonna stay. Your child should
right,
not be worrying about, I can't do my schoolwork because I don't have no computer. And I don't have if you got a $400 to $1,000 to a $2,000 phone, ain't no doggone way you should not have no laptop in your house for your child to be learning.
Right.
especially when we're already in the digital information age. We got artificial intelligence, and I'm a IT professional, so now I'm going into that space. But we
Mhm.
already have artificial intelligence already out there taking over little medial jobs and stuff like that. As an IT
Right.
professional and as an IT teacher, I have been trying to get Black people on that, um, getting themselves and getting their children prepared from a technological standpoint. So when we see that these kids don't even have adequate equipment in their homes, so that they can't learn the schoolwork. Like, that's not their responsibility. That's the
Mhm.
parents' responsibility. And these are things that people should be thinking about when they laying with somebody, and you have a high potential of having a child. These are things that
But
you should be thinking
again, I'm gonna
about.
tell you, and this in my experience, because I've had to realize, and before we go any further, audience out there, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and subscribe to our YouTube page. Share this out to any parents or educators that you may know of. Or you can give us a call at 443-642-9403 if you have any input on this conversation. Again, you can call us at 443-642-9403. We're live right now. But getting back to that topic, I understand where you're coming from, and I follow a lot of your threads, and I understand that because despite me growing up with a single parent, I still had other options, and my mother did
Mhm.
a great job of introducing me and putting me in programs where I had those options. But a lot of
Right,
people aren't there yet. So we
right,
got to fix a lot of things that are wrong and just
right,
call it wrong. Don't call it anything else. Institutional racism, we know those things exist, but we have to
right.
figure out what is wrong because of all those things. We know what the problems are. So now let's get to the solution base where we're getting parents on because right now we have full computer. We can and I suggested to a couple parents, I know it's a hardship, but go to a renter center or a place like that where
Yes,
you can rent
yes,
out a computer, month to month, and you're not paying an astronomical fee up front. You end up paying more, but you can always send it back in the summertime and then go get it again. And, until you're able to have a windfall and be able to get it. But some parents aren't thinking like that, or some parents don't have the credit for that. You got to have a job in order to get something from Rent a Center. I thought,
right.
in my opinion. But again, we have to fix problems that precede
Yes,
what where we are, what we think are they're more so the symptoms. Not having a computer in your home is a symptom of a
right.
bigger
A,
problem.
a bigger problems. Right.
Right. So and I sometimes look at my people I grew up with, family members, friends who did not have certain things, and I'm like, well, what's wrong with you? Why? And then as I grew older and I began to work more in the school system, I realized it wasn't as simple as somebody
Right.
not wanting to do something for the child. That's a problem, but a lot of the times it's more so it's a child raising that child.
Right. And
Who
that and
didn't
that
get
goes
the things that they needed.
that goes back to what I said. A lot of people are, they have a grown body, a grown up body, but
Uh huh.
their mentality is that of a child. And then they
Right.
and then they and I'm not calling anybody childish or anything like that. But the
Call
thing
it, but
about
I'm
it
I'm
is,
I'm gonna say it for you. It is. That's what it
you know
is.
what I'm
We got to
saying?
start calling a
But
spade a spade.
right. But now you got this child that you have to deal with, and you're a child yourself when it comes to your
Uh huh.
mentality. So it's like,
Hmm.
people who will go out there. Like, I was just in Walmart the other day, and there was a black couple in there, and they were, talking about, oh, the school didn't drop off the equipment for the child to do the homework and everything. Matter of
Right.
fact, with Sam's Club. But then they saw this little thing that the little kid could ride on or whatever. Oh, do you
Right.
think this would be a good present so you're willing to spend money on something that does not give your child any kind of value or anything like that. They can't help the child. The child is probably going to outgrow that thing in the next 3 to 6 months. But you're willing to spend money on that. But you're not willing, like you said, to go to rent a center, which unfortunately, a lot of Black people do have rent a center accounts for furniture and television and DVDs and all of these different things. So it has to be, they have to, and the reason why I say it's a mentality issue, because they are not in the predicament and mentally to be able to say, I got to put my child first.
But in this isn't necessarily a beating for parents, but it's to make a lot of parents aware, because we keep putting everything before the education.
Right.
Before school starts, what are you doing? You going out and buying them uniforms and tennis shoes and barrettes and bows. Who were sharp, dressed better than I did.
Right.
But couldn't get it together in classroom because they're too busy playing with their ballies or playing with. I had a preschooler. He was in preschool, and he pre-K, and he knew the names of all the tennis shoes that I had on. Every time I would wear a new pair of tennis shoes, he knew the name of. He would wear all. He knew the names of them, but he could not identify his alphabets or colors or shapes. But he knew the names of these tennis shoes that I didn't even know. I just liked the tennis shoes. But we keep putting everything before the education. We make every excuse. It was a lot of parents on social media. One school had virtual school had started that made that same complaint. They didn't send me the information for my child's school for teacher or how to log in, and you waited until school started.
Right.
I could see you a week before school started and you waiting for a school system, but your child is one of how many thousands in that district.
Right.
Most often, you know the principal or the vice principal or administrator's phone number. Why didn't you use that? It's so many excuses for why somebody didn't give you something versus why didn't you go out and get it? And I think we were just raised in a system where our parents had to make sure things were lined up before we got to a certain point. And I don't think parents are really taking heed to that now. This isn't a vacation for your child because we're in a virtual learning format.
Right.
This is it's harder, and you have to put in more work.
It is harder.
Put in more work. And somebody who's sitting here teaching these children Monday through Friday right now, and I know you're more with college level students, it is very difficult for us to do our job. But then we have to start, before we can do the job, we got to break down any trauma that's in the room.
Yes.
That's coming in the room. We got to break down, did the child eat or not? Are they hygienically clean or not?
Yes.
We got to break down all these issues before I can even tell you what my subject is for the day.
Or your objectives. When I was teaching in BOCES, I had 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th. And so when they came in, I didn't know what environment they were leaving and coming into my classroom in. Right. And for my PM class, I didn't know what when they left me, what kind of environment they were going into. And so some of these kids were so wound up and and all that other stuff. So the first 15 minutes of each of my class, whether it was the AM class or the PM class, my kids had learning disabilities, but they were all gamers. So I let them play the game of their choice on the computer for the first 10, 15 minutes of them being in class. Then after that time, because the gaming seemed to calm them and it seemed to get them ready for the class. So I let them do that. I went through my lesson and then I said, listen, if we can get through this class lesson before the last 15 minutes of class, I will let you guys use the last 15 minutes of the class for you to play whatever game. And that's how we worked throughout the year. And they got it, Right. But the problem was a lot of people. Now this was, I'm an IT professional, so I was an IT teacher. And my kids a good portion of my kids did not have computers at home for them to log on to, or take any kind of practice test or whatever that I was giving them. So I kind of had to modify,
Right.
certain things just so that they wouldn't fall behind. And they loved the class, that's why they would come to me, Ms. Carter. I don't have a computer at home. Is there anything that I can do to kind of keep up with the class? So then I had to come up with different labs that they could do so I
Right.
could make sure that they were on top of the schoolwork and they weren't left behind. So,
Hmm.
but it was very challenging to, because it's an IT class. So anytime you have an
Right.
IT class, you've got to have some kind of computer, whether it's a desktop or a laptop.
Hmm.
They try to use their phones, but
That could be
it's not the
limited.
same. It's not the
Right.
same. Like it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same, and certain
Right.
applications don't work on a cell phone as well as it does on a PC or a Mac
Right.
or a laptop. So,
Right.
but I just feel that now is the time that parents should know. And my thing is, you should have known something like this was coming, to the point where these kids were going to have to learn how to be taught virtually. I remember, at least when President Obama was in office, how a lot of Black people said, I'm going to start homeschooling my kid and all this other stuff, or trying to find ways to homeschool and all this other stuff. But some people never moved on it. You know what I'm saying? And now you're at a predicament now where you're unprepared, and it's
Right.
hard. It's harder. You're not
Right.
prepared to know what you're going to do income wise. You're not prepared to know what you're going to do if your kid has to stay at home. You're not
Hmm.
prepared. And I'm going through the same thing with my niece, with my great niece. And she needs me to help her out with this. Now I don't have any children. So, but
Right.
she wants me to help her out with this and the stuff that she doesn't understand. And because my niece is kind of, street, you know, sometimes the administration treat her a certain way
Right.
because she's street. But if you have somebody that come in there that's on their level, they treat me differently than they treat her. So now
Right.
I gotta step in and make sure that not just my great niece is protected, but now I gotta make sure my niece is protected. So that's what I was saying about it being a village, helping to raise a
Hmm.
child, because I don't have a kid. But now, not only do I have to make sure that my great niece is okay, I got to do the same thing for my niece and try to teach her. But it's kind of hard trying to teach her certain things, because she's like, her mentality is, I'm grown, I don't need you to do, this, this, and so. But I get phone calls. Can you
And
help
people
me with this?
imagine what the teachers are going through when you are
Right,
facing a parent like that that needs help, but got restrictions on what they want to do or how
right,
they want to be taught.
right.
That's a hardship that we're just it's a struggle, because even me, as a person that doesn't have children as well, I feel like, Nate, you need help with this. So
Right,
put your pride aside and reach out for some assistance. But
right,
we're not equipped that way. And we've had to do everything on our own, and we've had to figure a way out. Then we had to figure out, functionally through our struggle. But at some point, we got to get this together, because virtual learning will now be a staple in the school system, even
yes,
beyond this pandemic, because we're not going to have no more snow days, because they're going to
no.
force you to log onto that computer and do that lesson.
Well,
So,
as an IT professional, let me give some parents who might be listening some tips. Okay. Yes, you can go out and to Walmart and buy your kid a brand new laptop or whatever, blah 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 blah. But you can also go
mhm,
to a lot of these places that sell refurbished machines. Refurbished
right.
machines are basically machines, either whether they're desktops or laptops. They were broken at one particular point, and then the company bought them, fixed them up, and now they're considered refurbs. Um,
Mhm.
those machines are majority of those machines are good machines. Make sure that if you're buying them from an authorized center, that you get some kind of warranty on it, just in case something happens or whatever have you. But there are a lot, and I don't, depending on where people are living, there are a lot of places that repair computers and all that other stuff, and then they repair them and then they sell them as refurbs. The lots of times you can go in there with $200 or $300 and buy them. Keep in mind that if it's a laptop, it's probably $300 or $400. If it's a desktop, you need to also have about $300 or $400 because along with the desktop, you got to have a monitor and all of that stuff. So a monitor, it should come with the keyboard and a mouse and all that other stuff. Make sure that it has Windows 10 on it because the schools are using Windows 10.
Right.
And that you have some kind of email account, especially a Hotmail account that's connected to Microsoft Office 365, because now it's not a disk that you get to install it on your machine anymore. Now it's in the cloud. So now you got to go and get it from the cloud. So I'm saying all of this because, like you were stating before, a lot of people don't know where they can actually go and get refurbished machines and all that other stuff. And
they come on, and you go on to Amazon and get them.
You can go on, I was just getting ready to say that. You can go on Amazon and get them. You can go on eBay and get them. Lots of times on eBay, there are lots of them, as LOT, a lot. So I bought recently a lot of 4. And I bought 4 computers for $100. So if you got kids and let's say you got 4 kids, it's more beneficial for you to go to eBay and say, listen, put in the search engine lot of computers or a lot of laptops. See what comes up, see what you can afford, and purchase it. It's gonna help you. It's gonna help you in the long run. Like I said, I'm an IT teacher. I know everything IT. I know where to get cheap stuff from. I know where to, how to look at them, make sure that they're good and all that other stuff. And I've been trying to pass this information on to people, especially our people, because this is information that you're now going to need. You don't need to buy a small monitor to be cheap. You need a nice size monitor so that your kid can zoom in and all that other stuff. And especially if they're in Zoom or Schoolology or whatever, they need to be able to see their teachers and their classmates and all that other stuff. So you kind of need a nice size monitor so you can do all of those things. But these are some things that you can do to offset the cost. You don't have to.
One of my parents adapted her. One of my parents adapted her smart TV. They have a smart TV in their living room. She adapted that into her own webcam, the keyboard, and the mouse. The stuff to the TV. So there's still more options outside of that.
Yes, you can definitely do that, providing that your smartphone supports all of that. But you could definitely do that. I know even if you got like a little laptop that has an HDMI connection, you could buy an HDMI cord and connect that cord to the smart TV, and then the smart TV will start putting the output that's coming from your computer. So, or your monitor. I'm sorry, your computer or your laptop. So there are different ways.
She did that because her child was having vision issues.
Yes.
Over this time, he was on the computer way more than normal, and he was starting to get blurred vision. And the doctor subscribed it to, like, maybe if you get a TV monitor versus the computer monitor, it will help them because they're on that computer every day now.
Yes.
And my vision was being affected. So that having a bigger monitor will help them, focus their eyes a little bit.
You can get those TVs as 24-inch television, smart television, 32-inch television, or whatever have you. When I had a little apartment, I was living in Albany. I had taken a promotion out there, but my home is actually in Binghamton, New York. So when I went there, I said, listen, I'm not going to buy another doggone big old TV. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the 32-inch TV that I got. I'm going to take my laptop, get an HDMI cable, connect it to the back of the table, and that's going to be my monitor.
Right.
So, and when I was ready to watch television, I'll just disconnect the cable from the laptop, and bam, I got my TV back. So
Right.
there's so many different things that people can do. You just have to get very creative in this time.
Right.
This is a time for creativity. It's not the time for you to start panicking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What I'm going to do? One thing I can say about my parents, I'm the fifth of five girls. But my parents always, we figured it out. Okay, we sat down after we got a little frantic. What we going to do? What we going to do? We sat down and we thought about what we're going to do. What
Mm-hmm.
do you have? What do you have that we could use? And I'm quite
Right.
sure there's all our grandparents have, our parents have done that, grandparents have done that. You look to work with what you have instead of
Right.
panicking. I don't have the money, I don't have the money, I don't have the money, I don't have the money. But you got a smart TV. You can
Yeah.
use your smart TV. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? If you can, and you can, even if you have internet service, if you have internet service, because I don't even have cable, I have internet service.
Right.
So the thing is, if it's a problem, then maybe perhaps you need to go and get a Fire Stick or a Roku or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, and then and instead of having cable and internet service, dead your cable for a little bit.
Yeah.
Get the Roku and the Fire Stick, hook that up to your smart TV.
Right.
That's now your computer monitor. And now you can watch, and now you can monitor what your kid watches and all that other stuff because you got parental controls over those things. So these are
Right.
some what they call these some hacks that people
Right.
can use, especially when you're low on cash, don't have a lot of money or whatever, but you got to make it do what it do.
I would say, but what you were just touching on was sacrifice. This
Yeah,
requires a little bit of sacrifice, a little bit of humility on the part of parents, and not only parents, but just that village. If you see
right,
somebody struggling with something and you have an expertise in something, lend that to them so they
right,
can, that helps them. I'm
right,
not good at babysitting, but I could definitely help with a lesson or, give them some insight on, some tips to getting through things. But I think we are in this, me, myself, and my generation, we a lot
right,
that are too proud to ask, and maybe just not even focus on the ask and just
right,
needing the help and not knowing where to get it from. Sometimes just stop what you're doing, understand what the issues are, and then
right,
you'll understand what your ask is. So
right,
I've been seeing so many people now using social media, as a credit. When you have a problem, I've done it. Recommendations. If you go to
right,
Facebook for everything else, go there when you need some help and you don't know who on your list could help you, in that
right,
situation. But I really would love to see some of those hacks that you mentioned. I'm not putting it on you, but I would love to see some of those things because me myself, I am not technically savvy at all. So
mhm,
I've had to learn a lot of tricks due to me being on a station, and I'm learning a lot of things that way, and just going to YouTube and learning stuff just to get this space for me more acclimated to me being able to be a teacher, or
right,
me just having all these Zoom meetings now for various projects and various businesses that I'm working with. But it is very helpful for us to get a lot of these things taken care of. So we can
right,
get to a point of how can I further nurture this child? I can't
right,
nurture a child if they don't have the basics. Because that's the basics. And I'm not able to nurture them in terms of them
right,
moving forward. I'm just giving them
right,
the basics. And
right,
a lot of children are being pushed into adulthood with just basics, even if they have basics you know,
right,
and they're not fully equipped to really live life. It took a
right,
pandemic for me to learn the value of credit and for me to actually get my credit in order.
right,
And it just took 6 months, really just 6 months, really a year because I've been working on it for the last year. But these 6 months taught me money management. And I've been going through different websites. Sometimes put down everything else you're doing and learn something. YouTube can be a great space for mess, but it could be a great space for education and learning as well. So um, I really appreciate you calling in. And if you want this as a platform to come on and talk more about some of those tech things, because I need the help. It's
Not a
definitely
problem.
need right now
Not a
because
problem.
we can't do it off of the basics anymore. I'm learning a lot of what I can do with just a basic laptop and my cell phone, but
Right.
I personally need help. So if I need help, I know a lot of other people out there need the help too. So whenever you want to come back on and you got the time and we can go over some more of those tech hacks and such,
Yeah,
hit me up.
that's fine with me because tech is what I do.
Hmm.
It's what I love. You know, I've been in tech for a long time. My
Okay.
father had a grade school education, but I was always breaking things and then fixing them and everything. And he was just like, you know
Hmm.
what? I'm gonna have to put you into some classes, and so
Learn how
as
to
from
fix
a
some of
young
this stuff.
kid, I was into electronics, and then of course computers came in, and I had the Commodore PET, the Commodore 64, the 128. I had an Apple IIe, Apple IIc, like I had them all. So
I don't know what you're talking about, Rich. I don't know what you're talking
so
about right now.
I've grown up with the computer language and all that
Hmm.
other stuff. And it's amazing how technology has like, oh my God, how it just
Hmm.
it's grown
Yep.
exponentially.
Yep.
There were things that, we were talking about in the computer classes that I was taking that we're actually able to do right now. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And we were thinking, oh my God, that would be so cool if we could talk to people in different countries and all this other stuff. And now
Hmm.
here it is. We have the technology and everything, and in all of these different movies like I Robot and all this other stuff. And here it is. I think there was a movie called Bicentennial Man. Where people were robots and they were helping people move things, and they were actually used as hired help. And now we see AI. So I
Hmm.
mean, all of this stuff, and I think technology has grown faster at a faster rate than people have grown to learn it.
Yeah,
And that's
it
where
definitely, because it's not just typing anymore. It
no,
really,
no,
I remember having a web TV, and that jump started me before the internet became a household
right, right,
staple.
right, right.
And I saw how far advanced I was with that, but I didn't really keep up with the advancement of technology. But
Yes.
we have grown so. I mean, just with your cell phone alone, this is a computer now. And you can
Yeah, it
do
is.
crazy
It
things,
literally is. It literally
right?
is. It
So it
literally is.
really
I
it
mean, you
really
can.
says a lot to where we are. Before you leave, I have actually two more questions for you.
Sure.
One, are there any apps or tech items that you think we should be looking out for or looking into getting for ourselves that you
Um,
recommend?
it depends on what you're looking to do.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely, I have always been a lover of YouTube. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to learn, if it's a new language, if you want to learn money management, if you want to know computers. I'm an IT teacher, so I'm always pushing IT certifications. If you are an individual that loves information technology and you want to get a raise, learn a new certification. Learn a new certification, get
Hmm.
certified in that field or in that area, and
Hmm.
bam, automatically $20,000 raise automatically. That's how it is with technology. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
if you get CompTIA, COM, Mary, like Mary, PTIA. CompTIA is the standard all over the world, not just in the United States, all over
Okay.
the world. That is the standard in the field of information technology. You can be certified in IT fundamentals. You can be certified in A plus certification, Network plus, Security plus. Each one of those fields have different salary ranges. So
Okay.
the Security plus, you could be making $70,000 a year plus with that. With the Network
Mm.
plus, you could be making anywhere between 45,000, between 35,000 and let's say 75,000. With the A plus, that's the A plus is entry level, so you start off like $35,000, and you could go
Hmm.
anywhere up to like 50 grand, 50, 60 grand.
Mm.
And with the A plus, all the A plus is doing is just you fixing, tinkling with computers. That's it. You can easily make $20, 22, 24, $25 an hour. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you can do that as your own business, and
You
a
can do
lot of
that
those
exactly.
a lot of
Yes.
those things are there. A lot of those people are working from home right now.
Exactly. And then it's like once you start getting into security and stuff like that, you,
Hmm.
as long as you keep your nose clean, you don't got no felonies or nothing like that, you can get a job at Lockheed Martin, you can get a job
Hmm.
at any of these big time Google, all of these different places. But they want you to be certified. And right now is like the best time to go out there, and there's places, sites like Udemy is Udemy.com. And you can go there and you can buy all different kinds of courses for $10, $11, $12, and you have it for life. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You can always go back and review it, and all that other stuff. But it's not just IT, it's language, it's, anything that you want to learn. We have to,
Hmm.
especially as a people, we have to start getting into the mindset of learning. It can't be anymore that we just, all of these dances that we're doing in hip hop and all this other stuff. Because even if you look at the hip hop artists, they're taking their money and learning how to invest their money. They're investing
Hmm.
in bitcoins. They're investing in bitcoins and Bitcoin technology and all that other stuff. And they're doing
Hmm.
all of those things. And
Right.
we have to get into a mindset that it's not the way it was. COVID changed a lot of things. But
Right.
one thing I can say is that even with white supremacy, the internet is a great equalizer, because the internet does not care what product you're selling or whatever. Doesn't care if you're black, don't care if you're white, it doesn't care. Give me a product that I need and I'm gonna buy it from you. I don't care if you're white, I don't care if you're black, they don't care. Give them a good viable service that you provide or product that you provide. The internet does
Hmm.
not care. There are people out there that are becoming millionaires with
Hmm.
e-commerce and all this other stuff. So, and I'm saying this because a lot of times, a lot of people like to say, oh, well, and don't get me wrong, because I understand white supremacy exists in the whole nine yards, but not on the internet, not when it comes to business. Because if you have something that I need, I don't give a crap if you are white or black or whatever. I need that product and I'll buy it from you. How much you
But
gonna
you
charge
often
me?
don't even see the other person, so it's not,
Exactly,
unless
exactly,
they're doing that research that deep. They're not really. We don't know who we buying stuff from off of
exactly.
Amazon.
There are white people that are selling black products to black people
Hmm.
and making millions of dollars, and we don't even get to see
See,
them.
many the
All we see
natural
is
the
the
natural hair
product.
care products. Many of those companies, only a group of companies that are actually owned and operated by black people. Most of those
Exactly.
natural hair care products are from Asia and Europe, or white Americans. Like
Right.
it's
So
not us that own it.
right now is the time for us to start getting creative, and I already see it happen where people are making their own CMOS and stuff like that and selling it
Mhm.
and all that other stuff. They're getting creative. I do see the black community waking up to some stuff. Some people are not, don't want it as a full-time business or whatever. Okay, have it as a side hustle while you work your job and all
Right.
that other stuff. But then don't spend that money. Take that money that you're making from your business and put it back into your business, because it's a machine. It takes money to make money. So take that money that you're making and put it back into the business. Buy more products so you can sell more products. And the more products you sell, the more money you make. Then the more money
Hmm.
you make, you take it and you put it back into the business. It's like a well-oiled machine. But we're
One
not.
of the things that I want us to work on more is when we are doing those things, we don't need 100 20. So that means we all need to begin to work together instead of trying to start the same business in 100
Right,
different perspectives. Learning how to work together, and I see that a lot in say like the Asian markets, because they'll open up a nail salon on every other area, but they're getting all their products from the same place and they're getting them together. So therefore, it's
right,
taking down their costs, and the money that they're charging you becomes more profit for them because they've saved
right.
money on their materials. But we got to learn how to work together. It's
We
a
have
must.
to work together, but we also need to learn how business works. A lot of
Hmm.
our people go into business and um, they don't know how business works. They're good at
Right.
making the product. They're good at making the chicken. They're good at, doing, making the product, but they're horrible at
Hmm.
customer service. And customer service will make or break your business. And the thing is, just
Mm.
because you are the person that makes the product doesn't mean that you should be the person that sells it. You know what I'm saying? So we want to do everything ourselves, but when we have too many hands, in what we're doing, we can't. Like I'm a visionary. So what I have a couple of different businesses. But one of my businesses is that I teach. I go
Hmm.
in, especially now with COVID, I go into different organizations such as the Urban League and all that other stuff, and I teach their people. But I don't want
Okay.
to go in. I'm not going in as a employee. I'm going in as a consultant. So what
Uh-huh.
I'm teaching you, for I'll teach your class, the classes you want me to teach for a year, maybe 6 months to a year. In that
Right.
6 months to a year, I'm going to train. They're going to pay me to train somebody in their organization to do what I do. That's
Hmm.
another stream of income. So now I'm getting income from training you, training your people. I'm getting income from I'm charging you uh to train a trainer, and then I'm charging them um a fee to build out their computer, their IT system, so that it can run as though I'm there teaching it.
Right.
And then I charge them a fee, a consultant fee for making sure coming in, making some updates and all that stuff, making sure that everything runs well. But
Right.
right now, that's all I've been doing. I've just been doing it for companies. I've been working as an employee. But now
Hmm.
COVID has allowed me to become my own boss.
Mm.
And now people need my services and I get to charge what I know I'm worth.
Hmm.
So we have to get along those lines of moving away. Don't get me wrong, we all need hair salons, but how many hair salons can you have? You know what I'm saying? We need to get away from the hair salons and away from the soul food and start really getting into some viable businesses, not just viable businesses that Black people can patronize, but we want to keep our money in our neighborhoods. So we buy from each other, but we sell to everybody else. You
Hmm.
want white customers. You should want white customers. You should want Jewish customers. You should want Asian customers. You should want Italian customers. You should want anybody that fits into your avatar. You should want them. You should want their money.
But in wanting them and wanting those others to be your clientele as well, you have to do business with the people who are your startup clientele. You have to
Yes,
do great business with them because they'll
yes,
determine whether those people are coming to your business or not.
exactly, exactly.
Don't just push your black clients away once you've
Right,
made a couple dollars.
right.
Keep them as clients, treat them well. And I'm seeing a lot of that in this pandemic. We have used a lot of us because we see how other cultures use us, so we've
Yes,
learned to use us. And then once we get to a certain level, now I'm only marketing to a certain level of clientele. Sorry, but
right.
and I just see that, and I just want us to get better with that. You got to drop those attitudes because I begin
Yes,
to report on people with for insight, and I'm letting them know that these things are wrong. Get these things
right.
together if you want this to maintain, because a lot of those businesses that were like that are no longer in existence right now during this pandemic because they didn't have the strong client base to keep that business going because they were trying to outsource to so many different things. Get your home together first before you go outside of that home to try to do
I
business.
totally agree. I totally agree. I definitely agree with that. I think too, especially when it comes to outsource the things um that that really don't need your attention.
Hmm.
Like for me, even though I'm an IT professional, I don't have time to learn graphics. I don't have time for that. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So I gotta outsource my graphics. I don't have
Okay.
time to learn sales. I gotta outsource my sales. I don't know. I don't have time to learn certain things. So I outsource that stuff to people who are experts in that field, and I
Hmm.
pay them. I pay them their fee. so that it all comes together when because I have this done, I got my website done, I got all this other stuff done. So now I got my shop set up, my website set up, my pictures and all that stuff set up. And only thing I have to do is what I do. I bring the secret sauce to what I do. But if I've got my hands in this and that and that and that and that, I can't bring my special sauce.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I gotta be fresh for what I do. I am the creative brain of my empire that I'm building, of my businesses. But if I got my hands in sales and I got my hands in marketing and I got my hands in graphic artists, I can't come up with the creativity. I can't be the creative genius that I need to be to push my businesses forward.
And then what I'm getting from what you're saying, even the aesthetics of what we do is very important because that actually catches people's attention. But we can't spend all our money on making our brick and mortars or our websites, our business. We don't have enough money to pay somebody to work for us. So
that's true.
Trying to figure out a healthier balance in that. Like it has to look good, but I've seen some rundown businesses that are awesome from an aesthetic point of view, but they put most of their money into the quality of their business versus what it looks like to people.
Well, you definitely have to do that. You definitely have to. Everything is relational. That's something I'm always saying on my Facebook page. Everything is relational. And the thing is everything is built off of relationship. When my father was alive, he said to me, he always used to talk to me like I was a son. He was imparting information into me. He said, protect your name, your good reputation, and your good character like Fort Knox, because those are the things that people will do anything for you if you are good. If you have a good character, good reputation, and a good name, people will do anything for you. Anything at all. And not just the people that look like you, but most important, the people that don't look like you. They will do anything for you. And I'm experiencing that in my life right now. So you have to live in integrity. You can't have a side hustle or a business and try to make $1 million off of one customer. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that, because then you become a company that's not operating in integrity, and people will cut you off, and then you become that company. You become.
And I'm gonna translate that to layman's term. Right now, we have a lot of businesses that are selling products, but if you keep marketing to the same 10 people, those 10 people will get tired of keep on going in their pocket for you. Because at that point, they realize that I'm sustaining your business right now.
Right.
An occasional newsletter or update on what's new is great, but you gotta work on expanding. Make those 10 people want to go out and tell somebody else about your business. Don't keep on making those 10 people buy your products, buy your services, pay you, donate to you, support you. Like, they're gonna get tired. And I'm one of those people right now. I'm not buying another $30 t-shirt.
Well,
I'm not doing it.
In that case, what they need to offer you is they need to offer you an affiliate program. So every time you buy a shirt, you get 10% off, or you get some money from the proceeds. You know what I'm saying? So if you do that and you offer people an affiliate program, they'll be more inclined to go out there and basically do the selling for you, because the more sales they get money back from you, from the business owner. So the business owner, that's like hiring a sales force. You know what I'm saying? Affiliate, doing affiliate marketing. Because if I got 5 people that sustain them, that buy a lot of my stuff, then I would go to them and say, listen, if you sell, if you make some sales for me, what I'll do is I'll give you a certain percentage off of your purchase, and I will give you 30% of the sale price. Because in essence, they're selling your product for you. So when you do an affiliate marketing type thing, you're building a sales force, and you're just paying them a commission off of the sale.
Right.
White people do it all the time. So these are things that we have to learn. These are things that have been out there for ages and ages and ages. We need to learn how to do sales funnels. We need to learn how to do all of these different things, because you can have a sales funnel and not even have a website. You could just operate up your sales funnel.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean, all these different things we have to have access to. We have to learn because they are making some serious doggone money out there with sales funnels and videos and LinkedIn. And now you have the business community are leaving Facebook to go to LinkedIn. So now I'm finding myself having to, split my time between Facebook and going over to LinkedIn. The difference between LinkedIn is that the conversation is much more sophisticated because it's business. They ain't talking
Mhm.
about politics. They ain't talking about LeBron James or what happened at the game and all that other stuff. They talking business. They putting content out there as to what they doing and challenges and all this other stuff. So it's a total different beast when you go over from Facebook over to LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
These are things
And
that we need to know.
it could be very overwhelming to be on all these sites. But again, that goes into you now investing in a partner or an employee or somebody that can handle that. You know, like right now, I'm working with a friend that's helping me, that's starting to help me with those things, and it makes
Mhm.
a difference when you can focus on the sale or closing the sale or
Right,
networking or simply creating. You know, I have a jewelry business, so I have to have time to actually make what it is that I'm trying to sell, and it makes
right, right,
it very hard to sell. And so often, before all this happened, whenever I would go out to a exhibition or a vending event, I would always have somebody there, and
right,
be willing to sacrifice a couple dollars to pay them so I can get more sales. So I'm out
right,
actually being able to make stuff more or being able to get out in the crowd and network with the people so they can see my face and come over to my table. But
right,
I don't think a lot of us, we just think business, make money, spend it. We don't think
right.
about all the things. And I'm guilty of that. I started a business very early on and I didn't have a clue as to what that meant. I
Right,
just knew I had a registered business and
right.
didn't
And that's
understand
another thing we
taxes
got to
or
go over.
anything.
That's another
Mhm.
thing we got to go over. Are the business entities,
Right.
sole proprietorship versus an LLC versus an
Hmm.
LLP versus a C corp versus an S corp. All of these different things, and that's
Yeah.
what helps us when it comes to our taxes. Getting back to what you were saying about an employee, you can
Hmm.
hire your kids as an employee. Of your business.
Hmm.
If you own a t-shirt company or fashion line or whatever, and your kid is helping you fold the clothes or pick out the fabrics or whatever, that's the job of an employee. So now,
Hmm.
not only do you have you, and I'm just using this at the top of my head, you got a husband, a wife, and two kids. Now you're the CEO, you're the owner, and now you got three employees.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
now there's certain tax write-offs that you could utilize and all that other stuff. And so now that you're making some money from the business, now you can hire a certified CPA to help you understand the tax ramifications and what you can do, what's the best business entity for you to have, blah 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 blah. So we need to learn all these things because that's how Donald Trump gets rich. That's how Warren Buffett did his. How they all do it. That's how Jay Z does it. That's how Akon's doing it. Like that's how all of them are doing it. And so all
Hmm.
of that information isn't just for them just because they have money. That information is out there. You have to go out there, seek it, read it, comprehend it, understand it, and move in it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
And that's just the way it is. We're always constantly looking for somebody to do something for us, and that has been crippling to our community. That's extremely crippling. And then you get
Yeah.
mad at the people who are actually who actually came from the same community, but they took the initiative to learn something and then implement that something, and now they're ahead of you, and now all of a sudden they're Uncle Toms and Sambos and all this other stuff because they got ahead of you. But the only thing that they did was they took initiative that you didn't want to take. So now you
Hmm.
hating on them, because that's what it is. You're hating
Right.
on them because they took the initiative to do something that you wouldn't take because you're too busy waiting on social services or DSS to send you your check on the 1st or the 15th of the month. That's
Right.
gonna go. If
So
people
I'm
understand
I've been trying to figure out how, to work with you, and I think, this is really hitting on a way that we could possibly work together, because it's lessons that I'm learning, and being now learning these lessons, and it's valuable stuff, and it be one little thing that we don't know, that we keep making a mistake in everything that we're doing. And that's been my story, and learning those things as I go along has made it challenging, but it's so rewarding once you get everything lines up, because you don't even have to work that hard once everything is taken care of, and you're now just waking up and logging into your computer, and work is there already, versus
Right.
you're trying to scramble to find the opportunity and find the right person to talk to. It really makes a difference when you have individuals that can kind of guide you through it, but you are yourself open to being guided. We got to break
Right.
down a lot of those barriers that keep us from wanting to learn something, or
And
wanting to learn
it's
something
fine.
from
It's
somebody that
fine
looks
to
like
not
us.
know something. People have to realize it's fine if you don't know something. It's
Hmm.
okay if you don't know it. What's
Right.
not okay is when you don't seek the help that you need
Hmm.
because you're too prideful to seek out the help that you need. I'm not prideful at all. If I don't know something, I'm gonna try to see if I can find somebody that knows it. And I don't want them to just do it for me. I want them to teach me how to do it. And if that
Right.
means that I have to barter my services if I don't have money to pay them, a lot of people look down on bartering because, oh no, I want my money, I want my money, I want my money. But the thing about it is, if a person is bartering services with you, then you're getting their services that you need. You're getting services you need. They're getting
Right.
services that they need, and it's a win-win situation.
But
And then
people
when it
don't look.
comes to,
They don't look at stuff like that. They look at bartering as you trying to cheat me. But
right,
you're gonna have to pay somebody to do this regardless. So why
right,
not barter with me the service that I need versus what you need, and maybe even if they don't equal up, one of us pay the balance of what we've got. And people
exactly,
don't look like that. And it's one, because we are starting businesses based on what bills we need to get paid.
right, right,
So, I'm charging you based on my cell phone bill due, or I got to pay my rent this month. So that determines how much I charge you. And I normally stay away from businesses like that. Like right now, I am seeking out a photographer for some new headshots that I want. And a lot of photographers that I'm coming across, that I know they're charging off of bill they have. I can almost tell now. And I don't want to do
right,
business with you, because
right,
one, are my pictures going to look like what I'm being charged right now, or is the
right,
quality of what I'm getting? I have to question that, because
right,
your integrity, again, like you said before, your integrity then becomes questionable.
right,
But you gotta
right,
you gotta make sure you're doing business for the right reasons. And sometimes you'll lose money. You'll lose money in making businesses. And we see that with restaurants. Restaurants, it used to be a common practice. A restaurant would not see a profit for at least 5 years. But now
right,
we got people opening up during a pandemic and wanting to see a profit within the first day. And
right,
that's not,
right,
you're not putting, you haven't invested anything into this business
right,
as it being a business. The startup, yes, you probably invested everything you had, but the day-to-day business of it, you haven't put any time in. So you
right.
can't you can't expect a million people to come to your business that first day. So you make
Right.
$1 million. It's
And
not
it's
going to
all, and
happen
like
that
I
way.
was saying before, it's all about relationships. If you
Right.
people don't honor relationships anymore,
No,
they just think, oh, because I know you or because you black, you should be able
I'm
to
obligated.
patronize me. But the thing about it is, yeah,
Hmm.
you got a little business or whatever, but you forgot like 2 months ago you cussed me out for something I didn't even have nothing to do with. And now
Yep.
here you are asking me to patronize your business. And
Yep.
because I won't patronize your business, now you'll go on Facebook and talk about how black people don't support black owned businesses. Like it's,
Hmm.
you got to look at how well you are fostering relationships. How are you building relationships? That's all networking is
Right.
building relationships and letting people know who you are, what you do, why you're doing it, and see if they can help you. But you can't come to me. And another thing that really gets me is when people start businesses that they start tagging you and all that other stuff, on their Facebook posts and stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
coming into your inbox saying, listen, hey, did you hear, about this new business that I have and all this other stuff? You haven't talked to me in 10 years, but now you're
Yeah.
going to come in my inbox and ask me if I'm going to buy a product from you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a relationship. We don't have, just because
Yeah.
I know you doesn't mean I'm in a relationship with you. We have no
Right.
relationship together, and you're asking me to purchase something just off the strip that I know you. And
Right.
I'm just not going to do that. And we have to get out of that mindset because we're losing. We are so losing. Other people got that networking down pat. But when I go to these different conferences and all that other stuff, 9 times out of 10, I'm the darkest person in the room. And
Mm-hmm.
if there are other Black people that are in there, they're not communicating with me. They so busy up the behinds of these Asians and white people and all that other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You won't say nothing to me in person, but you'll come in my inbox and ask me to purchase from you. But when
Mm-hmm.
I saw you at the conference, you had nothing to say.
It's just how we have to. It's just how we have to learn how to do business with each other, and it's we have to get better with our internal cultural
Yeah,
structure, so
yeah,
our businesses will flourish. It shouldn't be a clicky system anymore, especially when you need people outside of that clique to
right.
push. So you got to get better at your interpersonal skills before you can even get better with doing the business of um, doing the business of your business. Like, you got to get better with that before you can even get better at networking. You have to get better at your interpersonal skills. Like, you got to do that. That has to be,
We
number
just
one
have
in
to be
priority.
taught, brother. We just have to be taught,
Right,
and
right.
the thing is, the one thing that I loved about all of the students that I had were that they were all teachable. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Black woman, and I was teaching 25 students, and out of 25, only 4 of them were persons of color. So all of my
Yeah.
students basically were white.
Mm,
And for me, I was a little apprehensive because of the fact, like, I didn't know how as a Black woman, I don't know if they ever had a Black teacher. I don't know what they know about Black women. I didn't even know if my authority as their teacher would even be well received. So
mm,
what I had to do is I had to get to know my students and let my students get to know me. And then
right,
form a relationship between me and them and me. And so what
right.
I did from day one is the first day of class, I had to take out a piece of paper and I said, listen, I'm going to take out a piece of paper and I'm going to give you a piece of paper. And I want you to tell me what you expect from me as a teacher and from taking
Mm.
this class. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down what I expect from you as my student. And then we're going to compare and contrast what we all wrote. And the one common denominator that all of us, including myself, had was respect.
And
And
that
so,
that that is that's what's required across the board, whether it's a student teacher, a mentor,
mhm,
a business partner, just an average client. And as we wrap up, I want you to give out your social media so people know how to contact you. And
okay.
we're definitely going to bring you back on. But give out your social media so we know how to get in contact with you.
Okay, my social media on Facebook, it's I think it's Cassandra Carter 2, the number 2. I am on LinkedIn as Cassandra A. Carter.
Okay.
Instagram, I am Kaz Carter.
Okay.
Kaz is CASS, Carter CAR. I am Kaz Carter, and I believe I'm the same as I am Kaz Carter on Twitter. Now on Twitter, I'm not as active as on Twitter and Instagram because I've been really trying to, I've been really active on Facebook and trying to really figure out this whole LinkedIn thing.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, when you inbox me, I do answer my inboxes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when you go, I'm just putting a caveat out there. I talk about an array of different things, as you know, brother.
Mm-hmm.
On my Facebook page.
Right.
So, and So you're gonna see some politics. You're gonna see a little bit of everything. You're gonna see a little bit of religion.
Don't take it personal. Don't take it
Don't take it
personal.
personal. I use social media for is I use it for conversation. I'm a
Right.
conversationalist, but I'm very controversial in the way I do things. So
Mhm.
don't take anything that I say personal or anything like that. Just see me as a person that is a person of truth, and I'm operating in my integrity when I put stuff out on my social media. So those are the ways that you can contact me. I have a couple of other different businesses. My Facebook pages for them are not up yet, but if you connect with me on either one of those platforms, you'll definitely get the upcoming stuff that I have coming up.
So I appreciate you for stopping by. We definitely gonna schedule you for another day when you have
Definitely,
the availability.
definitely.
And if you were listening, don't forget the Artist Exchange comes on every Monday and Friday at 5 p.m. unless Xfinity is tripping. And then otherwise we'll be here. So stay around. Don't go too far. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Like Big Exposed Radio on YouTube. You can find this show on both YouTube and Facebook. And I think I shared it out already to our pages. And that's been the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Peace out,
Thank
people.
you. Thank you
Wear your
so much.
mask, wash your hands, all those things.
God bless, brother. God
God
bless.
bless. Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. No problem.
Oh my goodness.